Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, we are in the building. What's going on, everybody? Conscious Approach on the YouTube channel. We are back for another week of interesting topics. Appreciate everybody for tuning in on this wonderful June the 27th evening. My name is JV Wins. That, of course, as always, is Dogon SS. Before we get things started, I want to begin this stream by saying the way I begin every stream by saying, if you have not done so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a comment, let us know what you think. If you happen to be catching this, if you happen to be catching wind of what we do on this channel via the live stream, via watching the live stream after we've gone live already, or via any of the individual uploads, and you have not already done so, go ahead and join the tribe. Hit that subscribe button. We certainly appreciate it as we continue to grow the community. We have gotten some pretty good feedback, and the reception's been pretty warm thus far for people who just like to kick the shit and have some interesting conversations about things going on in the world of society and culture and all of that good stuff. So, once again, if you have not already done so, subscribe to the channel, man. Give your boys a shout out because we certainly appreciate it. Now, with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get things kicked off. First thing that we are going to talk about this evening is comments made by Stephen A. Smith during his Stephen A. Smith show, which airs, I believe, twice per week. I think he does it every Tuesday and Thursday or every Monday and Wednesday. I don't know. Somebody fact check me on that. It isn't every day, though. He does it like twice a week or 3 days a week at like 3 in the afternoon Eastern time on YouTube. And so, on one of his more recent episodes, he was talking about pro athletes and why they choose to date some of the women that they date. Now, this is, of course, coming off of the heels of Zion Williamson's recent expose, if you
Yeah,
will.
yeah.
For anyone who isn't aware of what's going on with Zion Williamson, apparently he enjoys to deal with his strippers and porn stars. He is going to be the father soon of a child, which he is fathering with a woman who is believed to be a stripper. And in light of this information becoming public, another woman who he dealt with in his, well, he might still be dealing with her, according to her, Mariah Mills, who is a adult film actress,
Yeah.
she went ham on Twitter, threatening to expose sex tapes and DMs, and she already put out receipts of apparent money transfers. He was giving her 20K a month and all kinds of stuff. So Zion Williamson is looking kind of murky in terms of his public image with regard to his relationship status. And so Stephen A. Smith, being the sports pundit that he is, opined on, why pro athletes choose to make the decisions that they make in regards to the women that they choose to deal with. So you know how we do on this channel. We like to provide some context so that everyone is aware of all of the statements and comments being made.
Contact. Yeah.
So this is what Stephen A. Smith had to say, and this is what we are going to talk about for this particular segment. So this says Stephen A. Smith questions the dating habits of professional athletes. Unless you've been completely off the grid in the last month, you know the Zion Williamson situation. The NBA star has been the main topic of discussion on social media thanks to his dating life. Adult film star Mariah Mills has been putting the New Orleans star on blast through her Twitter account, teasing a release of a sex tape made by the pair. These unhinged tweets apparently began after Williamson seemed to part ways with Mills. The situation with Williamson and Mills isn't the first trending story involving an athlete's love life. Dennis Rodman was once on the front page of every paper in the 90s discussing his personal life. However, now it seems that social media keeps everyone in the know about what an athlete does with his personal life. On Monday, Stephen A. Smith discussed the dating habits of professional athletes on his podcast. So I'll go ahead and just play what Stephen A. Smith had to say here because it gives us all the context that we need. And then we'll talk about what Stephen A. Smith had to say afterwards.
There are people essentially asking the question as to why players date women of that ilk, as opposed to women out there doing other professional things as opposed to being an adult film star or a stripper? And the answer was to me was that men are visual creatures. We don't give a damn what forum you in. We covet what we see. And if we like what we see enough, don't abandon me, fellas. Guys turning their head being scared. Don't desert me now. It's the truth. But then a former NBA star, whose name happens to be Gilbert Arenas, my man Patrick Beverly's podcast, talking about this subject, took a moment.
Think about the other sex that's free between noon and damn 7 o'clock. Strippers, girls, Instagram models ain't got shit to do in life, right? All the sophisticated women at work.
Now, me, I don't think that way. I want to state for the record, who am I to judge? But the ladies in here, Ashley, Sumatra, Sherry, Laura, they say, not me, not the fellas, just the ladies. They said Gilbert Arenas has a point because a true professional working woman is busy working. Do you agree with Gilbert Arenas or don't you? I don't know, but the ladies told me I needed to care to present that question to y'all.
Interesting.
Indeed. So obviously the rest of the article just goes on to paraphrase what Stephen A. Smith was talking about in that clip that we just played. But yeah, so Stephen A. Smith, by way of Gilbert Arenas and some of the women who work on his staff of his podcast, basically saying professional athletes make these choices because, you know, the women of that ilk are the ones who are available during the waking hours when they don't have much to do, I guess, because I guess they're not at practice or they're not playing a game. Games are played at night if you're on the East Coast. And so that's, I guess, what they're suggesting is professional women aren't available during these hours of the day because they are working and busy being professional. Now, do you, Dogon, put any stock into this being the reason why professional athletes choose to date women like this? And you can throw, you know, it's not even just right. It's not just adult film actresses. You can throw all of these modern day sex workers into a pot. Instagram models, quote unquote fitness models, social media influencers, social media influencers, women who do OnlyFans. And you can I consider women who do OnlyFans to be adult film actresses all the same. To me, it's the same. Most of them are doing the same things on their OnlyFans pages that they would be doing on some, you know, site that you might frequent if you like to dilly-dally in adult content. So, you know, no judgment, just kind of stating things out there. Just kind of putting things out there. But yeah, I think this is interesting because it seems to be pro athletes. We've often talked about pro athletes being a target for women like this, and we get into the weeds with what's going on beneath the surface. But is that the reason? Is it as simple as saying it's because that's what's available during the day and professional women aren't available during the day?
That's a simplistic answer, and there's validity to it. That's not the whole thing. It's kind of like how we spoke about before, where we talked about the female rappers that are basically, you know, talking about selling their box and sex working. It's like trappers. It's standing on a corner, and literally prostitution is standing on the corner. But nowadays with apps and DMs and all of these things, people can take the corner to their phone. So these girls aren't professionals. They're professionals at what they do, but they're not. They're working too, but they're not. They're not in the corporate field. How about that? And they're doing black market work. And black market work is fast money, just like drug dealers. And so these girls are just basically the drug dealers of the female gender. It's illegal in most areas. It's illegal what they're doing, period. Now, people can say prostitution is two consenting adults. Lady needs money, man wants whatever, he pays for it. Those are two consenting adults. What's the crime there? But that's in the streets prostitution, and that's not it. But if you're doing it by making arrangements or on camera, now it's legit. But it's still drugs at the end of the day. So these girls, basically, to tie into Gilbert's point, he reduced it down to noon to 7 p.m. But basically what he's getting at is these girls don't have a job. And their job is to finesse men and to have sex for money, period. And so, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Not it, but that's a large contributing factor to it. And the women that are out there working, whatever, hand to hand, because they still want their cake and eat it too. Now, don't get it twisted. They still want the bag from a dude and all this other good stuff, but they're doing it in a lane where it's air quote well-to-do. So they're in a different bracket. So those women are spending so much time over there that they don't have time to be, pole riding on a basketball player, football player, anything like that. And one more thing before I let you go, it ties into, and athletes are no different. They're fast money guys too. And that's why Kevin Samuels always, didn't include the ball players and rappers, because there has to be a certain level of character build in order to make it to such an income. But when you make that income by dribbling a ball or by making one song, that didn't really have much character build. Not saying that you don't have the potential to one day be a Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, or something like that, but more likely you're going to be a Paul Pierce or Antoine Walker, Antonio McDyess, and just be out here in the game and messed up. So these guys get fast money, they blow it fast. So they don't really understand the science of the money that they have. So there's no appreciation, there's no gratitude. What do they say? A dumb man or unwise man and money part ways or whatever. And basically that's what it is. You don't have the wisdom in order to have such generational wealth. You just can jump out of gym. So at that point, these guys are doing this reckless stuff. They don't really have, so they deal with low character build women, and they just trying to get it off. So there's other things to it, but I think those are the two main components. But how about you, sir? Do you feel as though Stephen A. Smith has a point here, or do you agree with his female counterparts that Gilbert Arenas is correct?
I think that they're right, but I think that it's one of those situations in which the statement is true, but it doesn't paint the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is a way to explain why pro athletes opting for those types of women is convenient. And I wouldn't disagree with that, because it is convenient, because they don't work. They don't contribute to society. Their contribution to society is being a woman and having a vagina and being attractive. I don't consider that a contribution, but you get my point. Like, that's their purpose, is that the purpose they're serving is that. And so they don't work. They don't live by that traditional model. And they're often available during times when women who do live by that traditional model aren't available. And so they seek those women out. But I don't think that gets into the pathology behind the decision. I think that explains why it's convenient.
Right.
The pathology behind the decision is at the root of this. Because if it was as simple as saying they do it because the women are available and convenient, then we would see across the board more instances of pro athletes doing this. Now, generally speaking, it is mostly pro athletes and entertainers who are men who get into bed, figuratively speaking and literally speaking, with women like this, as opposed to men, other quote unquote high value men. And again, by high value, I mean income earning, not necessarily personality, as opposed to other high value men in other industries who don't opt to get with women like this. And so the question therein is, why is it that it's pro athletes? Furthermore, from what I see, and this is just my personal observation, and we can keep it with basketball and football. In the NBA and the NFL are majority black athletes, 65 to 70%. But there's still other cultures and races of men participating in these sports. But you don't see as many instances of men from other races and cultures getting into situations with chicks who do OnlyFans or strip, adult film actresses, Instagram models. It's mostly the black athletes you see doing this. And that is what I think is at the root of trying to dissect the pathology behind these types of decisions. And for me, honestly, I bring it all the way back to economics. You know me, I think economics are at the root of a lot of these observations that we make. Like, I think that it's no different than when you go through the hood, which, it's going to be mostly disenfranchised people in the hood. And black people are statistically most disenfranchised by the numbers. And you walk around the hood and you might see a bunch of these houses with expensive cars in the front. And the house looks broke down, lawn ain't taken care of, trash is in the front. And it's like, you can afford to buy a Lexus or a Benz or a Range Rover, but still live in the slums and live in squalor. Why not take that money that you would spend on this immediate gratification of a nice car and use it to build up some equity and get yourself out of this environment, put yourself in a better environment? Isn't that what's most important? Isn't that what's paramount? And to the person who's logical and understands the value of appreciable assets because they have the education that comes along with understanding these concepts, the answer is, of course, yes. Why wouldn't you make that choice? But for an individual who isn't financially literate, who does not understand the value of appreciable assets, they don't know any better. And so if they come into money, the first thing that they're going to do is buy something that gets them instant gratification, a car, jewelry, clothes, things that depreciate the second that you scan them across the register. And these women, quite frankly, to me, are the exact same. For these guys, these pro athletes, particularly black pro athletes who grow up in a tunnel and don't understand the value of social intelligence, they don't necessarily have EQ skills. They're just growing up, dribbling balls and, rushing the quarterback. They're thrusted into this environment where they have all of this money and all of these resources, but they have no EQ. They have no emotional intelligence. They have no social intelligence. And so when you're devoid of social intelligence, because you came into fast money and you were not taught the skill of social intelligence, you are now going to value the things that come fast to you and give you instant gratification. And what provides more instant gratification than seeing a woman on your Instagram feed or watching her do God knows what on OnlyFans, or watching her in her scenes on some of these, websites that you might frequent from time to time, or downloading her videos for free on these torrent sites. and then as you intimated, because you do have the financial access, you can quite literally pay for this woman.
Yeah.
And I think that the dangerous thing that's happened because of the internet and social media is it has made these guys who are vulnerable because of their lack of emotional intelligence and their lack of EQ, it has given them immediate access to these women. And the women, being as smart as they are in the lane that they occupy, are merely taking advantage of, they're merely taking advantage of these guys' lack of emotional intelligence and EQ because they weren't taught these skills. So it's a perfect mixture of one's willingness to seek out instant gratification, just like the people in the hood who won't get themselves into a suburban neighborhood. They'd rather live in squalor, but be able to, drive off in a Range Rover or a Benz, but they're still going to come back to squalor. That woman, essentially, the chick who does OnlyFans, is squalor. And because you know no better, you are willing to spend the money that you work to earn on something that gives you instant gratification, but you nevertheless are going to return to squalor. And that squalor is women like this who are willing to extort money out of you in order to keep quiet, who are willing to make you look bad given your public reputation because now you have fathered a child with a woman of this ilk, who, if she weren't pregnant with your baby, was just going to get pregnant by the next pro athlete.
Right.
So what is your value to her? Really nothing, other than the fact that it was your seed that got her pregnant. And this is the cycle of life at this point, thanks to the internet, which has fundamentally changed the way people behave. And now these athletes, like I said, who are already vulnerable because they don't have those baseline skills that allow them to be successful with women, are going to be extracted for their resources by these women who see a hole in these guys' games. And so that, I think, is at the root of the pathology. And I think the convenience exacerbates the issue, but it isn't the source of it.
I can see that. And I like the convenient. It is convenient for them. And I guess that kind of ties into what Gilbert was saying. But I think for Gilbert, from him saying that, it's like multi-dimensional in the sense of, again, he only said from noon to 7, but it's a deep thing when it comes to that. Your job is, it's basically year round. Your job is year round. You got to be on top of your game, because in the summer, if you ain't working on your game, some clown is, and you're going to be out of league in 2 and 3 years. So you have to be on your game. That's one. And then, so not everybody has the benefit of having a soldier next to them as a wife. And we talk about all the time about athletes being in this position of where, hey man, if you weren't in the Steph Curry, LeBron lane, what you doing? So most women that these guys meet that are air quote well-to-do, all right, they on the bullshit too. So they look at it in the sense of, hey, look, I can get any woman I want, granted. But any woman that I try to step down on, she's going to be with me because I'm the starting small forward for whoever. Is the loyalty real? All of these things are going to pop up for sure. And so as he's dealing with this and got to deal with her BS, take her on this, take her there, take it. Hey, look, I got to go back to work. You want to do a full blown. Now, not everybody's the soldier. I saw, you remember Miles Leonard? Is that Miles Leonard? Yeah, Miles Leonard. His old lady, I think she used to hoop or something like that, but she's an athlete or whatever. I seen videos of him and her in the gym just shooting. Whoop, 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 whoop. She's knocking down shots. Whoop, whoop. She's a trooper. She's here for this. The other ones was like, hey, are we going to go to Fiji or not? I mean, you are a ball player, correct? Don't you love me? The Larsa Pippins of the game. So it's just like, am I going to date a professional finesser, thought whore, or am I better off having women on retainer? Now, I'm not saying it make you right, but having women on retainer. When I go to Boston, it's live like that. When I'm in Sacramento, I'm living like this. When I'm in Minnesota, hey, it's a party. And as you're touring the country year round, you can still do what you need to do, but get back to work. Get back to work. Get back to work. And so I think it's just one of those things of where, because of the lifestyle, because everybody, now the average, person that's making it pretty good, you don't know how much they're making. You can just tell by the car, the clothes they wear, and the house they drive up to. But, a ball player of any type, entertainer of any type, more or less, you can look up their net worth or how much their salary is per year. And these professional floors, they know that first quarter, especially if they're invested and they know what they're doing. So it's a thing where, again, it's kind of they're in between a rock and a hard place. A lot of these guys. Now, I'm not saying that, they can't keep it solid and try to do the right traditional thing, but for the things you mentioned, plus this, I think the professional aspect for him just saying noon to 7, it kind of glazes over the fact that, look, man, my job is I got to be out here, not up in here caking with you. And not every woman's going to be putting me at the forefront. Not every woman's not just here for the bag. So these guys just look, hey, man, quick, easy. I'm young. I'll settle down later. I'm in the league. Let me ball. Let me do my thing. Instead of scrolling on her page, I can hit her up. And if it costs 20 racks, bro, it wasn't 20 racks a month, bro. He was sending 25 racks. He was sending 20 racks like every 2 weeks. So when you're sending money like that, it's a thing, that's when it's like, hey, bro, this ain't making sense, because the girl at Home Depot would do it for 2 bands. You're not necessarily thinking, bro. So why choose strippers? Why choose OnlyFans and porn stars? Now why go there? I can't piece that together, because if I can pay $20,000 every 2 weeks or a month to some sloozy, man, I can get a girl at Home Depot, you know what I'm saying, a rack, you know what I'm saying, pay her rent for the year in one swoop. That girl going ham. So I don't know why I choose them. I'll be low ball, bro. I'll be trying to find the diamonds in the rough. I'm not advocating for tricking off, but if you're gonna do it, bro, there's no need to do these high class people that's gonna expose you and all this other wild stuff. Get you a small time check, get you an NDA, get out the way. But hey, man, again, like I mentioned before when we talked about the Zion thing, these guys are gonna learn. I mean, if this don't, that girl made a song about this.
Yeah. She's not done. Yeah, she's threatening sex tape exposures. There's another woman apparently who's alleging that she was with him too and got footage and clips, but they never learn. They never learn. These guys are going to keep doing this stuff. And I think, see, the root of the conversation isn't why do these pro athletes choose women who aren't of the right intentions. The point is, why are you picking these sex workers? That's the point. And that's the thing. That's the pathology that we have to dissect here, is why is it that these pro athletes, primarily football and basketball players, most of whom are black, that's what they're doing? Because these baseball players, I mean, we did a story not too long ago with a soccer player who's famous, I forget the league he played in, who finessed his wife out of a divorce settlement by putting all of his assets into his mother's name. Mm-hmm. So clearly, like, he was stepping out on his wife. Mm-hmm. So these guys are all doing this stuff. That's not the point. And they're doing it, and they're doing it, pretty much at a rate of regularity that you can just come to expect. But the thing is, the soccer guy, he wasn't married to a woman who does OnlyFans or an Instagram model. He was married to some other chick who makes her own money doing some other stuff. And these baseball players and these athletes in these other sports, they're not getting with the sex workers. So the question is, what is the pathology behind the sex workers? In my opinion, I think it's that same mechanism in the brain and the decision-making processes of people who are low income that says, don't worry about getting a better house in a better neighborhood. Just get a fancy car, but still live in squalor. That's the same mechanism to me that is inherent in some of these guys who say, don't go for the chick who's low key, who's still about the same thing. Go for the one who's right in front of your face, who's busting it wide open on OnlyFans. To me, it's the same gear. And it's like, it's a gear which says, give me the instant gratification, even though that decision is devoid of balance that's going to help protect me in the future if things go sideways. Just like if that car, like, you get the Range Rover and you live in squalor, like, what happens if you can no longer make the payments? You live in squalor. So you done bought a Range Rover and you live in squalor. When you no longer make those payments, like, what's going to happen to you? You've got no collateral or equity to put up because you still live in squalor. You made this bet to spend this money on this car because you needed that instant gratification, instead of making a long-term investment in yourself that could allow you to buy 2 or 3 more of those cars in the future. So I think it comes from that same place. And the reason why I bring up the basketball players and the football players specifically, and why I think it all ties in, is because when you are devoid of social intelligence, like I said, you don't have those EQ skills. These tend to be the same people who lack financial literacy, who don't have those baseline fundamental skills because they just came into it so fast with tunnel vision. And so you're just prone to making those kinds of suspect decisions. You know, just like what we talked about with Ebony K. Williams, you can be a PhD lawyer and still be a thought. Thoughts come in all shapes and sizes. So if it's about getting with thoughts, I'm sorry, but I'm 37 years old. I've been out in clubs, bars. I've seen professional women who move like thoughts. Okay, I've seen it. Being an NBA player or an NFL player does not excuse you from getting with a chick who's just not a sex worker. It's not that hard. So again, the point about these women being available at certain points of the day explains why it's convenient, but it does not dissect the pathology. There's thoughts available all over the place, and not all of them are doing OnlyFans, even though more and more of them increasingly are getting into that lane because they see how easy it is. Nevertheless, not all of these women are doing OnlyFans, Instagram modeling, doing whatever, adult film actresses. They're not all doing that. So the convenience is only that. It's convenience. But the root of why they make those decisions is more deep rooted than that. And I think it's environmental and it's economic. In my personal opinion, that's what I think it derives from. I think me personally, I think it comes from the same place that makes a person who never knew what money looked like, doesn't know what money feels like, doesn't know what money smells like, real money, and they don't understand the value of assets. And so in lieu of making investments that can keep the money coming in passively so that you never go broke again, they decide, oh, I'll just buy all of this jewelry or buy this car or whatever, things that don't appreciate in value. And then if you can't continue to come into the money in the same way that you were previously, how are you going to continue to make the note on that car? You know, how are you going to continue to keep these things up if you don't know how, if you don't have the wherewithal, which comes with prior education, to invest these things wisely? And these days, when it comes to these guys making all of this money, trust and believe women are an investment. And I'm not trying to diminish women to being a mere investment, but when you see what is happening with Zion with this woman, that chick was an investment to him because he is having to come up with payment plans for her. So this is what happens when you make these kinds of decisions. So for me, I think the pathology is rooted in, environment, economics. It has something to do with that. I think that's what kind of goes into the pot, because it doesn't have to be a born star. It can be, look at what Tiger did. Tiger, now Tiger had to come out of pocket for his ex-wife, but that's because he married his wife and and he got found out. And so now he has to come out of pocket 700 million or whatever that was. But for the most part, the women that he got with, they weren't women with 3 million Instagram followers because they do porn or because they do OnlyFans. They were cocktail waitresses and bartenders and all of that kind of stuff. Flight attendants, women like this, women who still operate via the same thought code, but do it low key and aren't on Front Street the way these adult film sex workers are. So I think that's kind of the line of demarcation there. And, I think that what Gilbert is saying is true, but I don't think it paints the whole story.
I hear that. And I still, even when saying that, because I agree with what you're saying, it's definitely a mindset. And they're clearly not having their priorities in the right space, But again, that's why I was given the caveats of can I trust this woman? I can get Tiger Woods. You know? And I don't know what goes on in these circles behind closed doors of guys that actually had that money, lived this life before, and telling these young dudes that, hey, it's best to just go play the field and have these women out here that, you looking out for, versus having a wife, all this extra stuff, and getting taken to the cleaners later, for half of what you have plus child support. So I don't know what goes on in those circles, but still, that doesn't excuse the levels of immaturity that goes on. and these guys are young, and the league has gotten younger and younger. And now that they're going to take the rights off to the one and done thing, and they're just going to let these guys come in, it's going to get even younger. And so when you have these young dudes in, and as you said, because they're not thinking about assets, I was thinking about ass at 18, 19 years old. You won't go tell me shit, especially when you cut me a check where, my first game check or my first whatever check is 60 racks. It's like, holy crap. And so, yeah, man, 18, 19, I would have been out of there. So I think it's just that, and that's why the predatory thing is such a big deal with this, with me at least, because these older women, for like the LaMelo Balls and everybody else that's getting swooped up by these Kruger women, these Kruger women clearly know more game than these young guys. And that's why, because these Kruger women have pass, Amber Rose style. And it's like, why are you sleeping with a OnlyFans chick? Why are you sleeping with a whatever chick? And they thought it was sweet. They thought it was the girls they was hitting in high school. If they went to college, they thought it was the girls they was hitting in college, with no game. But these women here, they lay on you figuratively and literally until you accidentally get them pregnant. Because these guys aren't just, trying to get these women pregnant, but these women are trying to get pregnant. And then once they get out, because the girl's gonna keep it, and then it's like, damn, Paul George dealing with a stripper, so-and-so's dealing with, no, he was having intercourse with strippers too often. And then whoop-de-whoop, he done messed around and got one pregnant. That's all she wanted in the first place. And now he maybe got to save face. This is my wife, PR. I don't know what's going on with those things, behind closed doors, weird things. So yeah, they just get caught up in bad situations. But all in all, I agree with you. I think this is it's definitely a mindset thing. But why, particularly football and basketball, I think it's tied to what I was saying earlier. It's fast money. And if you talk to anybody that worked in the fast money industry, it's going to come right back. I'm going to get it right back. You can be the I can get it right back person, or you can be the person that stacks and do whatever. But the majority of people who live in the fast life type of industries, they typically blow it. And that's just what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be interesting to do a thought experiment and just kind of juxtapose football and basketball to these other sports to see if the rate of the instances of this are any different. Because I don't know enough about, like, I know in Major League Baseball, the prodigies come into money real fast. But otherwise, you got to work your way up through the minor leagues and you get drafted real young, but you still got to work your way through before you make it to the majors and all of that. But even in baseball, the prodigies who get right into the majors, I'm not seeing it in these other sports. It's something unique under football and basketball. And I think it has a lot to do with the participants in the environment that they come from. Yeah, for sure. It has to. It has to, because otherwise, how can you explain that? And then all you have to do is just compare the decision making of somebody like Zion to somebody like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is black, biracial, but culturally he's black. And they're diametrically opposed in terms of their approach to women. And I personally believe that even if Patrick Mahomes wasn't married, he would move differently than Zion. He wouldn't move the same. And they're both black. And so that is the key there, is trying to peel back that part of it to try and understand it. But moreover, I kind of feel like, the corresponding schedules, trying to explain it that way, well, professional women are busy being professional. Yeah, that's cool. It's a way to gloss over it. But for me, that just goes so far as to explain why pro athletes get with these women out of convenience. But it doesn't get into the pathology behind the decision to do it. Because, again, OnlyFans or chick who works at a law office, you see their thoughts everywhere. It ain't just chicks who do sex work. And yet, more and more of these guys are getting with the Brittany Renners of the world than they are getting with the chick who is a lawyer but is also a thought at the same time. So,
well, the chick that's a lawyer who's a thought is going to get offended if I try to give her $1,000.
No, I don't know, bro. You think so? I think some of them about it. I just think some of them move different. I think the I'm not. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Ladies, let me know.
I don't know.
Let me know how much you want.
Yeah, I think some of them don't care. They don't care. Like they just move a little different. Like because they're not sex workers who come into frequent contact with men on the internet at the same rate that chicks who do OnlyFans do. It necessitates them moving a little differently. But I don't know. I feel like some of these chicks out here who are lower profile are getting wire transfers too. And we just don't know it because they move different. I don't know.
Hey, hey, ladies, let us know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hey, and I ain't trying to say all y'all for sale, but it's you know what I'm saying? Let me know. So the ones that, hey, what's the price? What's the going rate? You know, I don't know what's going on out there. I don't know what's happening. Oh boy, but yeah, times have changed, dog. People done with the BS, and they say, hey, you know, I just pay straight up. I don't even. I ain't trying to take you on no date, open no doors. Come straight on through. Here it go, whammy wham. I'm back at practice in the morning.
So. Quite transactional, yeah, very much, very much so transactional. It's a business transaction. It's a business transaction that also involves fluid transfer.
Yeah.
But shouts out to Stephen A. Smith though. Stephen A. Smith, he took the high road. He didn't give his opinion. He just, piggybacked off of what his ladies on his show and Gilbert Arenas was saying. I think that explains convenience. I don't think that explains pathology, but that's just me. Word. Either way, appreciate the content.
Word.
Okay, so next up, we're going to talk about Fat Joe. Fat Joe has some interesting comments to make about defending his use of the N-word. So he was on Talib Kweli's podcast recently, and they got into talking about the use of the word and, the culture surrounding the word and hip hop and all of that kind of stuff. And so interesting comments that came from Fat Joe, who, if anyone does not know this, Fat Joe is not black. He is, I believe, Puerto Rican, old school hip hop veteran. Fat Joe goes back to the early 90s with Terror Squad and the Big Pun and all of that good stuff. But so him and Talib Kweli, they were talking about, the use of the N-word and why Joe sometimes gets frustrated when he has to defend his use of it. But be that as it may, so this article here from Hot New Hip Hop, it says Fat Joe defends use of the N-word on Talib Kweli's podcast. Fat Joe, who is of Puerto Rican descent, so I did get that right, addressed the backlash to his use of the N-word during an interview with Talib Kweli for the People's Party podcast. In doing so, he explained that he grew up around the use of the N-word in New York City and described the controversy as mind-boggling. The conversation kicked off with Talib Kweli explaining the situation. For those of us that grew up in New York City, Latino people grew up in black neighborhoods. They say N-word just like black people do, he said. From there, Joe responded. So I'm going to skip all of that, and I'll just play the clip here of Fat Joe's comments because he can say it better than I can.
For those of us.
So I'll go ahead and, we'll go ahead and play this. We should be safe on the copyright tip. And then we'll just go ahead and give our 2 cents on this interesting dynamic.
For those of us who grew up in New York City, Latino people who grew up in black neighborhoods, they say nigga just like black people do.
I don't know how they, explaining it to people at this point is like mind-boggling to me because it's been like, what's up, Fat Joey, my nigga, since I'm 2 years old. You taking it offensive? Then what do I look like, a slave owner to you, or I look like the cop who killed George Floyd? I got to think about you because you obviously know that you just said I'm the most important piece of hip-hop. You obviously know I'm with black people all day. I fight for black people. I fight for Latinos every day of my life. I don't try to let people make me second guess what I do because that's not what hip hop was founded on. The origin of the world is foul anyway. I don't know how we made it cool. If I'm driving right down the block and somebody's doing something to the blackest lady in the world, I'm jumping out, I'm dying.
Word.
Like, so it's offensive to me when people say, yo, why you use nigga? Like, don't you know?
Wow.
All right, so there you go there. 2 things in that stood out to me. One, he mentioned something about he is the most important aspect. That must have been a different part of that conversation where Talib Kweli must have been like, Fat Joe is a part of the most important. Yeah, he must. That we didn't. That wasn't a part of that clip there where they must have got into it and they must have identified Fat Joe as a part of the most important history or aspect of hip hop. I don't know, but that's interesting and highly debatable. Highly debatable. That is highly debatable, man. And then what was the other interesting thing that he said? I'll let you go ahead and start. I can't quite think of what the other thing was that he said that kind of
the origins, the origins of the words foul. So I don't know
there you go. Him acknowledging that the origin of it is foul. But sort of glossed over that part. Like, yeah, the origins of it is foul. While continuing to explain why it's appropriate that he would be using it. But yeah, so those are the two things that I thought was interesting. But what did you think about that, man? Fat Joe's like he gets offended when people are offended at his use of the word.
I agree with him. I don't get bent out of shape about it anymore. I used to, but not anymore. So us growing up in Miami, we had a lot of Hispanic classmates. In elementary school, I was mainly around black people. It's probably like, 90% black people. So, it's still Spanish people, but it wasn't the Spanish people I went to middle and high school with. And the Spanish people I went to middle school and high school with, it was about that in the sense of, hey man, family from New York, wherever, or Dominican Republic, blah blah blah, Puerto Rican, and they saying nigga up and down, and I'm not having it. I am not having it, and I'm like, hey bro, what you mean, bro? But I see in how they use it, but I felt like they was using it too much and wrong at times. I felt like they just felt like saying it. And I was like, hey, man, there's proper context to use this word, man. And there's a certain flow you got to say that, to have to use it. I feel like you just saying it, I don't know. It never understood. It never made sense to me. So, but I had enough conversations with these people that are using the word to realize that, they're not trying to be hateful. They're just trying to be down. So I was like, whatever. I don't care for it, but you get a slide, bro. And it's like, what are you, bro? And it's like, oh, he's Puerto Rican. I don't care. He's Dominican. I don't care. Venezuelan. I don't care, bro. If you're from Latin America and you using the slur, in my opinion, I was like, whatever. And I had to get Stockholmed into it, to be honest with you. And so over time, I was just like, whatever. And then when I saw Fat Joe saying it all the time, initially, I was offended then. And I was like, bro, please. And I felt like he was using it in the same context of, I got the card, I got the nigga card, so I'm going to just use it. And it's just like, all right, bro, we use it too, bro. But we don't use it like that. I do know some people that use it every sentence. But most of us, man, we just chilling and hey, we'll throw it in there, bro, like some spice, but we're not trying to kill the dish, with so many M words. But even now, if you watch any live stream from Fat Joe, he's dropping the M-bomb every other sentence. So I wrote him off as every other Hispanic person that I know that chooses to use the word. They get the pass, whether they're the lighter hue or the darker one. You talking about something? Do I look like a slave owner? Maybe, sir. If I didn't grow up knowing who your face was, and it was just an image of you with no tilted hat or chains on, hey, sir, you might just look like a slave owner. So the whole context here, if you say, what are you talking about, man? And it's like, bro, have you looked in the mirror? But I'll say this and I'll let you go. It's an addictive word. And so if you grew up using the word, it's kind of hard to not use it in certain contexts, you feel. And so it just comes out sometimes like, I'll be driving a car or whatever, and it don't even have to be a black person. I'm just using the word because it fits the situation. So I tried to drop it myself but I keep coming back for more. But but I do understand the connotations around it and all that other stuff. I'll dive into that later. But how about you, sir? How do you feel about this situation? Do you think that Joe's out of pocket for using the M word?
No, he isn't out of pocket, and he should be allowed to use the word into perpetuity until his dying day, because this is what we did. So me and you went to different elementary schools.
Mhm.
Now, my entire school history is Latino and Black.
Mhm.
So my elementary school was probably, I don't know, 70% Latino, 30% Black. And then obviously we went to the same middle school and high school. We already know what that was. That was more like 60-40, 70-30. There were more kids at our school that identified as other than Caucasian. It was either Latino or Black.
Correct.
And all throughout elementary school, middle school, high school, everyone's using it. So I grew up desensitized to the notion that you can only be using it if you're Black. And this is before the internet. So the use of the word to me was always understood because it was rooted in socioeconomics. To me, that's what I always felt like. I always looked around and I said, well, we all come from the same neighborhoods. We all listening to the same music. Our parents all make around the same kind of money. We all got the same quality bike. We all in the same boat economically, socially. So for me, the use of the word was endemic with that reality, which was a shared reality for everybody. So I was never offended personally as a Black person whenever a non-Black person, even if they weren't Latino, honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. Even if they weren't Latino, they could have been white, Indian, Middle Eastern, whatever, Asian, because that was around too. Mm-hmm. We were all in the same reality from a social and economic standpoint. So for me, because it was a shared reality, the use of the word just came accustomed with it. So I was always like, whatever. It wasn't until I went to college and social media came out that I started to look around and say, oh, Black people actually still have a problem with this, which confused me. That's when I started to get confused, because I was like, I didn't even realize that this was something that we still cared about. Like, why are we still holding on to the exclusive right to use the word when we literally package the word as a product to be consumed by everybody? Like that's the part of it that always confused me. I remember when the NASCAR driver a few years ago, I think his name is Kyle Larson, he was on Twitch or something streaming, playing a video game, and he used the word. And Kyle Larson is like, I think his heritage is like Caucasian and Asian, something like that. And he was canceled for he was using a word. He was using it in the same context that, well, I kind of have stopped. I've kind of eliminated the word from my personal vocabulary, but he was using it in the same way that we use it. I used to use it. You use it. That the hip hop people use it. He was using it. He wasn't using it to be hateful. He wasn't using it to be derogatory. He was using it to express, hey, person that I know, which is what that term has become synonymous with. And he got canceled because it went viral on the internet. And because it's viral, now people have a problem with it. You're offended because now you see it on viral social media posts. So he had to go on this contrition tour and apologize. He had to get reprimanded by NASCAR. He had to take a step back. Now, thankfully, his career has been able to bounce back. He wasn't banished into purgatory because he used the word. He's been allowed to come back, and now he still enjoys a fruitful career in NASCAR. Good for you, because people don't need to get canceled for dumb shit like this. But at the time, he was canceled for it. And I'm sitting around trying to trace the origins of the offensiveness. And, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, why are we still mad at stuff like this? I don't get it. It's like, well, they shouldn't use it. Black people should only be using it, blah, blah, blah. And, I say, well, if that's true, then why would you make the word a commodity via your art and then turn the art into a major genre that's consumed by everybody? Like last time I checked, there isn't a label on rap music which says for Black people's consumption only. Everybody listens to this music. It is mostly non-black people who support it monetarily. If you go to any of these music festivals where rappers have a heavy presence, it's mostly white people or non-black people at least at these music festivals. Streaming numbers, digital copies. You don't go five times platinum, 10 times platinum. Outkast speaker box Love Below went what, diamond? That ain't because black people was buying it. Everybody was buying it. So you're granting access to the use of the word through the commercialization of this product that you bartered and sold to people outside of your community. So you've already forfeited your right to be offended by it. Well, JV wins. They can listen to the music, but they should, have the understanding that that word is sensitive and they shouldn't use the word. Okay, fine. If you want to go that far, to that I would say it doesn't make sense to tell somebody that they can monetarily support something but not actively participate in it. It would be no different than if the NBA told me that I can buy jerseys and paraphernalia and buy tickets to games and attend an NBA game and spend my hard-earned, how expensive season tickets to an NBA. I looked on the website the other day to source season tickets to the Miami Heat next year. I'm looking at paying $2 for half the games. So you're talking 2 to 3 racks for half the season, 20 games. Season tickets are 40 games. If I want half of a season, I'm paying about 3 racks and I'm not even sitting low. This shit is expensive. So imagine if the NBA came to me and told me, hey, we got no problem with you spending your hard-earned money on season tickets, but you're not allowed to actually play basketball. The cognitive dissonance that would get me would be beyond the pale. How are you going to tell me that I can spend money on something, but I can't be an active participant? I'll take my money elsewhere. Mm-hmm. The hip-hop industry is no different. You've granted people access to your culture through the commercialization of the use of the word. It's a product. So it's completely unreasonable for you to say, buy our stuff and support this with your money, but then turn around and say, oh, but you can't use the word. That's active participation. That's how I see that. So even after I, got a little older and I got exposed to different kinds of sensibilities once I went to college and all of that kind of stuff, and I left Miami, because in Miami, it's all love. Everybody's using it. It don't matter. My barber was talking to me last week. My barber's Peruvian. He was using the word all day, every day. I'm not getting mad at him. We went to the same high school. We from the same place. Listen to the same music. I can't get mad at him for saying it. That's ridiculous. But I got older. I went to school. And I got exposed to different sensibilities, and I realized that there's still a contingent of our society that wants to get mad whenever people who aren't black use the word. And that's when my whole point about participation comes into effect. Well, you didn't put a label on this music and say black people only. We didn't do that. It's everybody's music. It's a major genre. So who retains exclusive rights to the use of the word? Nobody. It's everybody's word. And furthermore, the word has become synonymous now, further adding to the confusion with person who I know. So like, am I wrong? Like people, so this is what I've noticed. And this is a chicken or the egg thing. I don't know if the music started this and then people followed suit, or whether the people started this and then the music followed suit. But basically, nigga is just used to refer to a man. Just like bitches is used to refer to a woman. Remember back in the day when bitch was a derogatory term towards women? Yeah. Now the word bitch is merely used to describe a woman. Women do it, men do it, we all do it. You see a woman walking down the street, you be like, this bitch said blah, 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 blah. And they don't mean it derogatory.
Well, you still can't call her a bitch to her face, though.
I know what you mean.
Or maybe, but guys can't. Girls can't. Right. That's our N-word with women.
Correct. Yeah. So it's like the words have just become synonymous with person. So when women be like this bitch, this bitch, that, she's just referring to another woman. Right. Just like when guys be like this nigga, this nigga, that, he's referring to another man.
Right.
And I would even go so far as to kind of counter what you just said. I think it goes both ways. I think we've become so loosey-goosey with this stuff that it's even more socially acceptable now than ever when a guy refers to a woman as like, this bitch, this bitch, that. It's just referring to. Now, some women who have integrity are going to be like, hey, bruh, chill with that. Because I don't
Right.
like the way you use that word.
Right.
But you got a lot of these women out here who don't give a damn, especially younger generations. They listening to this music. The word is just flying everywhere. And it's merely being used to describe this woman who exists in the world. They don't mean it derogatorily. So there's so much confusion behind the word that I just sat back and resigned myself to it's everybody's word. And I felt that way even before I got older and started to ask questions. But even after I got older and started to ask questions, I realized this word is a product. This fallacy that it's a term of endearment, no, it's a product. And products, just like any other item that's at a store, can be purchased by anybody. It's a business trend. It's literally a product that's bartered and sold to people who consume the music, the culture, everything. So, it's everybody's word. Fat Joe can use it. Go ahead, bro, use it. Who cares? If we really have a problem with it and it's really that serious, then we need to take back ownership of our art and we need to slap a label on it that says Black people only. Now, that will not happen because everybody raps now. Everybody does the music. Everybody listens to it. Everybody supports it. It's everybody's music. It's everybody's culture. And so the word is a part of the culture. It is what it is, man. Anybody can use it. I think it's ridiculous with Fat Joe. I think it's ridiculous when people get mad that he says it. And I think it's ridiculous when any person gets mad that any non-Black person uses it. At this point, I kind of think it's silly. Now, me personally, I have eliminated the use. I don't use the word nearly as much as I used to. And really, generally speaking, I kind of have eliminated the use of the word altogether. But that's because I choose to not be a participant in contributing to the confusion around the word. That's why I stopped using it. Because you still have so many primarily Black people who have a problem with people who aren't Black using it. So I just say, you know what? So that I'm not contributing to this madness by adding to the confusion around the word, I'm just going to step back and not use it, period. But that's a personal choice that I made because it is a confusing thing because of this very type of conversation. But moreover, do I get offended when someone uses it flippantly like that? No, because it's merely a word that's used to say, hey, guy over there. That's literally what the word has boiled down to. And then when you factor into it the fact that it's a product that is sold to people and everybody, is able to buy stuff that is identified as a product, this is what you get. So, hey, man, Fat Joe, let the N words fly, bro. You get no qualms from me. I don't care. Clearly, other people in the hip hop fraternity don't care. Talib Kweli doesn't care. He understands the sort of epidemiology behind it, as do I. So personally, I get no offense to it. And I think other people who do have offense to it need to chill. And if you don't like it, then we can dissect why we even need to be using the word in the first place. Because as Fat Joe said, the origin of it is foul, but we still do it. So this is what you get.
Well, I hear that, and for now, granted, there's still a lot of people that are anti N-word. They don't use it themselves. They hate everybody using it, Black, white, or anybody. And those people, more power to you. That's pretty much all I can say. You don't get a prize from me. You don't get nothing from me because you didn't do anything. Oh well, yeah, I'm coming right at you, bro. and what do I mean by that? So, for all my etymology people that want to sit there and the origins of the word or this and that, it means this, ignorant or whatever people are saying the word is, or they used it in slavery on us and blah 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 blah. And always, hey, I'm not saying they didn't. But here's my thing. There's more words that you should be offended by than just the N-word. It's words like employee, servant. Now, if people really I advocate everybody here to look up some videos. It's on YouTube. It's in your public domain. All right. But look up the Black's Laws Dictionary and look up the meaning of the word employee. I'm pretty sure you'll be shocked. You know, servant. Look, I'm pretty sure you'll be server. I'm sure you'll be shocked. You know, and I'll give you a spoiler alert. It means slave. How about the word black? You know, black people. I'm a black man, so I'm not going to use the N word. You know what black means? Black literally means second-class citizen in Black's Laws Dictionary. You know what the law is based off of. So people try to figure out why they get thrown under the bus during the court system and all this other stuff like that. Well, because you register as black, you identify as black. Therefore, you're saying you are a second-class citizen. White is a label. You ever ask a white person, hey man, you know, hey, he's a white man. White man say, hey, I'm not white. I'm Irish. I'm not white. I'm Italian. Now, why is he saying that I'm not a color and he gives an ethnicity? Maybe because you're not a color. Colors are for what this country is doing with people. And they got everybody around here calling themselves a color. They done took you from other things, a nigger, a nigga, a Negro,
Colored,
colored,
colored.
African American. I still hear people say colored. And I said, boy, that should be a slur. Don't call me colored. What the hell does that mean? You're a color too. Why aren't you colored? So when people use these terms, you got to understand these words that you're using. So all of these people that want to run around here hollering about they black, you have slurred yourself there, because you ain't black, you're brown. If you want to get into colors, even the darker skin of the black people ain't black. So why are we using these terms? They're archaic, but they're not archaic. They're still being used, and they're being used in the system that everybody's trying to figure out. Well, what's going on? Why these cops kill people and they get to walk away? Because they killed a black person. They killed a second-class citizen. So I could go further and further, but please look up Black's Law Dictionary. Look up what's the other things? Maritime law. Look into these things and then come back to me with an N word. And then I'll say you're using words that degrade you all over the place, because you're not even from Africa, because Africa isn't the name of Africa. I don't remember what the name of Africa is, but it's named after a white man. Africa is named after a white man. So even if you hollering at you African American, boy, you still sound crazy. So you're not African American. You're not black. All right, if you ain't an N-word, you ain't none of these things. But stop identifying with all of those stuff. So my whole thing is that, so for all my people out there that sit there and say, oh, you gonna get this white boy pass for, boy, you giving a white boy pass by saying you black on the census. So my whole thing is that it's deeper than just a slur that a rapper uses in a song. That some kid that likes the song, saying it word for word, says it right next to you. Why are you gonna check that guy? You know. So I say all of that stuff to say is that, hey, there's a bigger room out here, and you're just focused on one thing. But there's plenty of things that you shouldn't be calling yourself, but you've been programmed to. So please look into, and by the way, black is a status. So, and white is a status, and all of these status symbols. So look these things up in the text that I told you. All right. They got videos on YouTube. There's audio books. Go look into it. But stop crabbing over a word. Let people have it and rock out. Because if you ain't going to change one, you damn sure ain't going to change the other. So,
yeah, I think that's the general point is, if you really have a problem with it, then it needs to be eliminated entirely. But if you're going to be selective with the use of it, then let it in. That's how I see it. It's free reign. If you're going to be selective with the invocation of it, then open up the floodgates. Otherwise, it needs to go away completely. And we're not going to let it go away completely. So it is what it is.
Let people have it.
Let people have it. I don't give a damn. Let people have it. Yeah, I don't care if you a country music star, Roseanne. I don't give a damn who you are. They say it, let them in, because we need to start. We should be talking about why the word is even used in the first place. So, there you go, Fat Joe, Terror Squad. That's what's up, man. Lean back.
Yeah, represent for all the coloreds, Fat Joe. Represent for all us colored folks.
Oh man, that's what's up, man. We get bent out of shape about that crap. It's funny, it's dumbass word. Lupe Fiasco apparently is dealing with a case of identity crisis, and it's because of Drake and Drake's lyrics. So I thought that this was funny. I thought that we would talk about this. It's kind of intriguing. So Lupe Fiasco chimed in on a video that went viral on social media that kind of parodies a man's conflicting emotions when being exposed to Drake lyrics. So I'll go ahead and share this. Drake, I think at this point we can say is kind of a friend of the channel.
Yeah, man.
We've mentioned Drake on this channel enough times that we can call Drake a friend of the channel. Yeah. So this says Lupe Fiasco hilariously comments on Drake's lyrics. Lupe Fiasco is an artist who is known for being a truly incredible lyricist. Throughout his career, he has provided fans with some truly incredible albums. Moreover, he is someone who is always pushing the envelope and providing fans with new music. We have gotten a couple of singles from Lupe here and there over the last few months, and they have all been great. That said, despite all of his success, there are still times when Lupe has been made to feel, quote, regular. As it turns out, Drake may be one of the reasons for this. We know this thanks to a meme that was posted on Twitter recently. In the video clip below, you can see how the meme makes fun of Drake and how his lyrics will have ordinary folks feeling like losers. From sleeping at the Sheraton to wearing New Balance and Levi's, Drake is taking aim at a lot of enemies of modern living. Overall, it is easy for Drake to do this as he has a whole lot of money. Although sometimes it comes at the expense of his fans' egos. As Lupe Fiasco explains, Drake has made him question his own self.
Damn.
So you see, that's Drake. That's Lupe's tweet commented the original meme. So Lupe said, he makes me feel guilty for shit I ain't even do and question the legitimacy of my actual responsibilities, with a laughing emoji. Now, of course, he's being sarcastic. I think it's reasonable for us to surmise that Lupe is being sarcastic with that. But there's some meat on this little Drake bone here. So I'm going to go ahead and share another screen so that we can actually see the meme, because I thought that it was hilarious. So here we go here. So I don't know who these guys are. It looks like the TikToker's name is I Am Tracor. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Don't know exactly how to pronounce that, but we'll play this here and then we'll talk about it afterwards. I thought it was pretty funny.
Us guys don't wear New Balance and Levi's. I'm off of spiritual lifting, but I don't fly spirit. For your birthday, your man got a table at Hibachi. Y'all sleep at the Sheraton. All that shit embarrassing. Us guys don't wear New Balance and Levi's.
Well.
So yeah, Drake got people, mostly men, I would think, because none of these lyrics pertain to women, questioning why they should even be alive, I guess. Because I guess if you can't ball out like Drake, then what's the point of even trying, right? So Lupe has some funny comment on that. Well, what did you think about what Lupe had to say about Drake's lyrics?
I feel like it was, it was fun. It was a nice little joke there. It makes sense, but that's what all rappers do. So all rappers take a number 2 on your life and tell you about how fly their life is and how they can do all this fly shit and you can't, and how they do what they want and you do what you can. And that's hip hop in a nutshell, or that's what it's evolved to. And braggadocious, beat over my chest, ego rap. And granted, you're not supposed to listen to it from that lens, though. And that's the whole thing. It's like, nah, you're not supposed to listen like that. You're supposed to listen to it as if you're the one that doesn't fly Spirit. And even if you flying Spirit, bruh, you still flying. So it's like most dudes, like, so if you don't get caught up with the Joneses, if you ain't trying to keep up with everybody, and if you listening to braggadocious rap, so you can beat on your chest in your own way. At least that's what I used to do when I was listening. These guys talking about some, they waking up in Bentleys and stuff. Well, I was waking up in a Toyota Corolla, but you couldn't tell me sharp when I had that Corolla. I was still pulling females. You know what I'm saying? I'm still where I need to be, point A, point B. I'm in class. I'm at work. I'm at the basketball court. What's happening? And I'm listening to these guys talking about how they riding in their Maybachs and in their Maseratis. But as I'm riding in my Corolla, I'm in my Maybach or my Maserati. So it's all about how you choose to listen to the music. I feel like this is a funny joke. And Drake does do that quite often. But to me, it's water under the bridge, man. I think braggadocious rap, if used in the right context when you're listening to it, could actually boss you up and put you in a situation where you ain't got to fly Spirit no more. But how about you, bro? How do you feel about this, man? You think that ego? You think Drake is out here tearing down men's egos?
Yeah, he is. But that's not but that's not Drake's fault.
Right.
That is the fault of us, the people who have decided that we are going to worship this music and take it literally instead of figuratively. So it's not Drake's fault. Drake is sharting on us, but it ain't his fault. It's our fault. And by our, I don't mean me specifically. I mean us people.
Right.
We can. So the music. We came up on music. Like this, late 90s into the 2000s. The coke raps, bricks, all of that kind of stuff that we was listening to. And I listen to all of that stuff, trap rap, whatever you want to call it. Jay-Z's my favorite. I listen to all of those guys who are talking about selling cocaine and having sex with my wife or my girlfriend.
Your wife.
my wife, my JV Wynn's wife. Yeah, a rapper's gonna have sex with my wife or my girlfriend, right? So like I grew up listening to all of that, and did it tear me down? No, because I knew that I was listening to this for entertainment purposes and with a filter, which allowed me to extract the good things from it and leave everything else on the cutting room floor. So when I would listen to Jay-Z say, "Who wanna bet us that we don't touch lettuce, stack cheddars forever, live treacherous, all the etc." Like I interpreted that as, who wanna bet that I'm not gonna be out here getting money doing my thing and living my life to the fullest. That's the translation that it was for me. Not literally that I need to be out here living treacherous, all the etc. And if that's not what I'm doing, then I'm a failure.
Right.
And I think that what's happened with the microwave generation and people's shortened attention spans, because we need everything. A video can't exceed 30 seconds now or too long, or like a caption on a social media post can't be more than a few sentences or it's too long. Like our attention spans is so short that now we listen to music the same way. And we no longer have the capacity for consuming it with a translator tool. We take it all literally. And because we take it all literally, we're going to fall short of the expectations in Drake's music. And now we are going to become a defeatist, and we're going to live a defeatist mentality. So it's because of how we have desensitized ourselves to information that has caused what Lupe said in that post to be funny, but to a certain extent also be true. And now for me, I've chosen to protect myself against this when it comes to women, because I don't know who takes the lyrics in this music more literally, men or women. I don't know who does it. I don't know who's worse. I don't know if it's equal, if it's more women who do it, or if it's more women do it.
Yes.
I don't give a damn. I just know I'm protecting myself from all of it. And I remember one day, it was, matter of fact, I remember exactly the day it was. It was July 4th last year. So this was almost a year ago. I was having a conversation with my aunt. We were at at our family house out in Hallandale Beach, and it was July 4th, and we was eating, having a good time, and my aunt, she was asking me about my dating life because, of course, me being now, at the time, I was still considering myself. No, I was 36, so that's late 30s at that point. So I'm late 30s and still single, so I'm often probed by the older women in my family with questions as to why that is the case. So she was asking me about my relationship status, and she's like, "Well, what kind of woman are you looking for? What are some of the qualities? Do you care about this? Do you care about that?" And she was asking me, do I have racial preferences, dating preferences? Do I care if she has kids? All of this kind of stuff. And, one of the things that I kind of told her was, some of those things for me are non-negotiable. And some of those things I'm more flexible on. But something that I think at this point I've become non-negotiable on is whether she listens to rap or hip hop music. Yeah. And I told her, I said, I think I've gotten to a point where if I meet a girl and she tells me she likes modern hip hop and rap, I'm pretty much going to disqualify her. I don't even want to talk to her because some of these women out here, and again, this is a generalization, so I'm not saying all women, but me, I'm just speaking from a man's perspective as someone who's trying to protect himself from tomfoolery, from shenanigans, from being bamboozled, led astray, right? Some of these chicks listening to this music literally will hear Drake talk about how lame it is that a man took his woman to the Sheraton. Now, look, woman, we're going to go on vacation. I might put us up in a Sheraton. Now, I've been in a Sheraton before. Sheratons are nice digs. They're nice digs. Right? All expenses paid. Listen, I'm paying for these flights. I'm paying for the reservation. Well, if we go out to dinner or you want to go gallivanting around in the streets, spend a day at the beach and rent a cabana, I'm paying for this shit. So if we spend this vacation at the Sheraton, who the hell are you to feel some type of way about that? There should be some appreciation on your part because I arranged this little getaway of ours. Now, the wrong type of woman with the wrong type of mindset who listens to too much Drake is going to feel as though me putting us up in the Sheraton is inadequate. I don't want to deal with that kind of woman personally. So again, I'm not saying that it's all women, but I'm just saying for the women who don't listen to this music with a filter, it has become their religion, just like it's become a lot of men's religion. It's become a lot of our religion as people, where we listen to it literally and we take cues from it and we allow ourselves to, be sequestered into the recesses of self-degradation. Because if we're not doing it literally how these rappers put it, we ain't doing it good enough. So, I might be in the mall one day and I might say, hey, these New Balances, they're my girl size. She likes sneakers. Maybe I can buy her a pair of New Balance. Now, the woman who listens to too much Drake and takes it literally is going to say, I didn't do well enough because I bought her New Balance. Conversely, if I listen to Drake too literally and my girl decides to, now mind you, I don't wear Levi's jeans, but that's not the point. The point is, if my girl's in the mall and she decides she wants to buy me a nice pair of jeans, I should appreciate that, as opposed to succumbing to my inner Drake and feeling like these jeans aren't good enough because my girl decided to buy me Levi's and not some bullshit $500 pair of jeans. Listen, if we go to Fiji, we might have to fly Spirit to get there.
Boy, I am not going to. I'm not going to Fiji. Hey,
but that's my. I know. Look, Fiji, look. The Spirit part is rough because Spirit might be where I draw the line. I've never flown Spirit before, but what I'm saying is, if the guy works hard and he wants to whisk you away on Spirit, you might have to go on Spirit.
No, you probably got to take a Spirit flight.
Yeah, like have some appreciation. But if you listen to too much Drake, and whoever Drake's counterparts are on the female end, because you got these female rappers who rap about the same BS, right?
Yeah.
And so, if you take this stuff too literally because it's become your religion, you might be subject to look at your partner a certain kind of way because they're making these accommodations for you. Sheraton, New Balance, Levi's, Spirit Airlines, whatever. Hey, look, we just going to Myrtle Beach for the weekend, baby. It don't gotta be on a 747 Delta first class with the movie screen. It can be a Spirit. It's a 1-hour flight in and out. We gonna be staying at a beach house. We gonna be staying at an Airbnb that's right there on the beach. I am paying for all this. But hey, if you listen to too much Drake, you might think you need to trade me in for a guy who's gonna send you out there on a, whatever, first class, whatever, JetBlue, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think about that conversation with my aunt that I had on that fateful July 4th afternoon last year. And I just protect myself and I say, you know what, red flags, you listen to what kind of music? Because the thing is this, is that a harsh judgment to make? Absolutely. I'm not saying that it's fair. I don't believe in fairness in life. I've said that many times on this channel. I don't think fairness exists. I think you get what you work to earn. There's no such thing. Fairness is a place where they judge pigs. It doesn't exist. It's not real. There's what you can earn through the work you put in and what you can't. So there is no such thing as fair. I get judged a certain type of way by women who don't know me every day. You think that's going to stop my train? Hell no. It is what it is. Some women don't think I'm good enough because I don't have a full beard. Does that stop me? No, I keep it moving. I don't have the tattoos they need. I'm not 6'6". Is that going to stop my train? No. And there's women who think like that. So yeah, I'm going to look at a woman who is in this hip hop stuff. You got nothing but Drake, Sweetie, Cardi B. That's all on your playlist. Lotto, Coil Ray. I can name them all down the list. They all sound the same. They make the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
Doja Cat.
Yeah.
If I look on your Spotify playlist and that's all I see, I'm out the door. I don't give a damn. You could be the most wholesome chick in the world. I'm protecting myself from the possibility that I'm going to run into a chick who's going to feel like I'm inadequate because I decide to put us up in a Sheraton on a 4-day vacation that I'm paying for 100%. So I think the meme is funny. I think Lupe's reaction is funny, but I do think that these lyrics come from a certain place because on both sides, I look at it as, in certain respects, problematic. Because you got a lot of these dudes out here who worship this music, who really do feel like they need to put themselves down because they ain't doing what Drake does. And then you got a lot of these women who feel like if, Drake done got into their head so heavy that if these lyrics can't apply to their personal situation or their personal circumstance with respect to their social circle, the men that they with, whomever, they're going to trade you in, bro. So best take heed and pay attention. That's what I say. But otherwise, I thought this was funny. Again, I'm not necessarily, I'm trying to, I try to not blame the music or the artist for all this stuff. So I'm not going to sit here and say this is Drake's fault necessarily. Because it's not. Because he can do that stuff. That's his reality. Right. He's not at fault for this. It's not his fault. But some of us who worship this music shit, we have no one to blame but ourselves for some of the circumstances that transpire as a result of this religion that we have chosen to adopt by way of this music stuff.
And I'll piggyback off the what you say, the rap music thing, because it's not, for me, it's not so much rap music, although I completely understand what you're saying. And so, but I'll be a little bit more lenient. Depends on what kind of rap.
Okay.
So I'll be more lenient but to double down on what you're saying, I would say more or less like if they want to keep up with the Joneses, period. And if they're always in their phone seeing what Mr. and Mrs. Jones is up to, I don't want nothing to do with that. Because at that point, the Drake lyrics stick when they listen to it.
Yeah.
So at that point, she goes, I walked out my house with New Balances. You know what I'm saying? On my way to wherever, on Spirit, took her to Hibachi. Yeah, took her to Hibachi, and now I'm getting judged wearing Levi jeans. And so she gonna sit there and go, and if she's keeping up with the Joneses. First of all, because New Balances ain't it. They're not. They never been it really. I mean, you can pull them off here or there, but you gotta, pull them off that way. What if you
can make them look cute? They could work. I think they work. I think a chick can get away with it more than
I'm talking about
can.
you, bro. I'm talking about
dudes,
bro.
No,
you can't. No. First date, you showing up with New Balances, bro? No, you're not doing that unless you know what I'm saying. You stepping like that as a person, and these New Balances just rock like that because you seen them at the store. Goddamn, they go hard with that shirt I had before, and then you did that and you pulled that off like that. And now, if you did that, you would buy New Balances. You see, hopefully you're not just opposed to the brand New Balance. Then you ain't no different than Drake. So it's like, then you ain't no different, bro. So I would wear New Balances. You know what I'm saying? I did want a pair too, but they were surprisingly expensive whenever I was trying to buy them. I was like, I ain't trying to spend $100 and something. By the way, I got a budget on shoes, bro. I don't spend nothing over $50, and I still be fresh on the ass. That's besides the point. So the point I'm trying to make is that if she tries to keep up with the Joneses, she's a dangerous human. So she's not just going to do it with rap. She'll do it with her reality shows or her whatever. And she believes what Mr. and Mrs. Jones is up to, and she's trying to keep up with them. And you being a person that don't care about what they're doing, and you moving at your own rate, which is always slower. So if she thinks what you're doing is lame because you're being you and you ain't following what the Joneses is doing, to hell with her.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. So that can be diagnosed real quick. And that's, hey, what's your favorite TV show? What's your favorite genres of music? Blah, 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 blah. And yeah, unfairly judge it like a motherfucker and be like, no, you're out of here. You're out of here.
Right.
What's that? City Girls. And by the way, I seen a clip today. It's old, but May, which is old on the internet. Young Miami sitting there talking about something. She don't want her daughter to grow up to be a city girl. Girl, that's your group. You out here preaching the city girl gospel, but that ain't no different than Jeezy sitting there telling us to trap or die. He told me to trap or die, bro. But he's sitting there, got a whole family at the crib, got a son graduating from whatever, proud father. Oh no, I talk about that on wax.
Just like Cardi B do the same thing. Rob this dude, tie him up, rob him. Meanwhile, she's married with two kids and a whole husband in a marriage. She ain't tying nobody up.
So what are we talking about? So my thing is that so if they do, because I've met girls before that were genuine hip hop people. So she can listen to rap if she can sit down and tell me that her favorite rapper is Big Pun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, why is Big Pun? And then she can, whatever. Diddly 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 diddly. And it's like, she even know the words. God damn it. Versus some Drake stan sitting there telling me that, oh no. And by the way, the reason why I scrounged up on Spirit, because I have flown Spirit, this past year, you know what I'm saying? But it was an hour flight. It was rough, bro. But if you do like an hour and a half,
yeah,
you're doing two some hours, bro. I don't know. For me, I just couldn't take it. It was just too much moving, But nevertheless, man, that's why I said Fiji, bro. A regular plane, I'll be dead. I'm not.
Well, I was just making my point. I don't even think Spirit flies international like that.
I don't think they could. No.
But yeah. More so like I'm putting this up and we going to like Myrtle Beach or Martha's Vineyard or somewhere like that for the weekend. We going to Atlanta for a few days and you feel like we low grading it because we flying Spirit. Meanwhile, I'm paying for all of this and we gonna have a blast when we get there. Girl, you out your damn mind.
Yeah, man. So if they because Sheridan's a clean. So yeah, but Drake is, the ward off or whatever it is, and goddamn Ritz-Carlton. He's 5-star guy, so he can't. Of course, him standing at Sheridan. What sense does that make? So him talking about his lifestyles, whatever, and his braggadocious rap, and we all know he ain't lying, which is the ultimate flex. So him doing that all day long, that's his business. But for the regular everyday people at the crib, if they are measuring themselves up, hopefully they're not, you know, but there's too many people that try to keep up with what's going on. And I thought, you know, man, I stopped in like 11th grade. I couldn't keep up no more. It was everything started changing. It was every other thing. So as soon as like white tees came in, and then other stuff started to come out, I was like, you know, I'm chilling with these white tees, bro. I don't need your name on my shirt, bro. Like, I don't need Fat Farm or FUBU or none of this weird stuff. Averix, you know,
Fat Farm.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I don't need people's name on my stuff. I don't need none of that. I'm just rocking and rolling. So for me personally, I like people outside of the box themselves. So that way, if they do watch or listen to something, there's compartmentalization somehow, some way from, you know, the person that I'm dealing with. But if there is no compartmentalization, if they're just parroting talking points, then at that point, then my New Balances ain't clean enough. You know, my Chaconis or Sauconys, whatever you want to call them, ain't clean enough. I do got a pair of those, bro. Straight from middle school, bro. I got a pair of Chaconis. And so if I walk somewhere with my Chaconis and she goes, "Oh, what are those? Are those aren't J's?" And if, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got time for that. So yeah, so just keep the people that's keeping up with the Joneses, male or female, are dangerous people to me. And I don't associate with them because whatever you do ain't never good enough. It is always too slow, too lame, or too whatever. And those people, I ain't got no time for that.
Yeah, too slow, too lame, too boring, too replaceable. That's how I look at it. Too replace, because man, listen, those types of people are just going to be on the lookout for the upgrade. And at the moment that they see an opportunity to upgrade, they're going to seize upon it, and they're going to leave you in their wake, and they're not going to give a damn. So just leave them out, like leave them alone. The music thing, it's the type of music.
Yeah, I got you.
So it wasn't necessarily that you listen to rap or hip hop, but let me see what is on your damn like songs on your Spotify. I need to see what your playlist looks like, because that tells a lot about a person, and it is what it is. This is not a judgment-free zone, ladies and gentlemen. I'm judging all day, every day, because I don't got time. I'm not investing in a person who, to me, is lacking in genuine human qualities, to the point where they're going to look down upon someone who's willing to provide just because they're not acquiescing to what your cultural, messages and signifiers are telling you to. And furthermore, I don't think it is a good practice for anyone to associate with people who don't think for themselves. And like we talk about that on this channel often, the value of thinking for yourself. And trust and believe, that's a skill. Not everyone inherently thinks for themselves. There were people who were put on this earth to be conformists, and there are people who were put on this earth who have the ability to break away and think for themselves and do so comfortably. And so I only think that you can succeed personally, in personal, professionally, personally, relationships, whatever context you want to put it, when you surround yourself in environments with people who think for themselves. And people who do that kind of stuff don't. Whether it's men who say, "Oh, I'm not good enough because I can only put my girl in a shit." Bro, put your girl in a damn Sheraton. For real. Okay, be happy about that shit. And then the girl who wants to say, "Oh, this ain't good enough because we ain't at the W," or whatever. Like, look, go get with the guy who's gonna do that, and he's also doing it for his 8 other concubines as well. So go get with that guy who's doing that then, if you feel so inclined to keep up with that mentality. But that she also, much like the male counterpart, is a person who does not think for herself. So those people can go be sheep and be herded with the rest of the conformists. And yeah, bro, I'm like you. I don't care, bro. You see, I get my clothes and I'm good with them.
Oh yeah.
The way they fit and how they look on me is what I care about. Brand names are secondary, because I'm gonna make it do what it do regardless.
Exactly.
And ain't nobody gonna get me off my square with that. Right. So you can go somewhere if you feel like I'm not wearing whatever these goofy rappers are wearing, because I don't give a shit. But yeah, I thought that this was funny, interesting commentary, and I think there's some meat on the bone, albeit it being a comedy bit, because it was meant to be funny and a parody, but there's some meat on that because you got a lot of these robots out here. How do you like to say it? 001, 001.
Yeah, boy.
Well, Sheraton 001, New Balance 001, Spirit 001. So steer clear.
Yes.
And steer clear.
Yeah, man. And I'll just say this. Yeah, like you said, bro, people that think for themselves, those are the best people, but not so much for themselves that they just want to be a contrarian. So, some balance, bro.
Yeah,
right. One thing, because I can be a bit of a contrarian, but some people live on contrary. And it's like, you're just disagreeing with me at this point, just for the sake of
doing it, right? Yeah.
So you're trying to be unique too hard. So there is a balance. I mean, we there's a give and take when it comes to following societal norms, but when we're dealing with these, like I said, materialistic things, that's an issue. And materialism, man, I'm materialistic to a degree. I feel like most people are, especially if you're living in Western societies and North America specifically. So there is a degree of materialism that most of us have been indoctrinated with. So just work with that and balance it, man. But if it's to the extreme of something dropped last week and your skin itching because you got the old edition, you know what I'm saying? You gonna have to, look in the mirror and ask yourself, hey, am I taking this too far? And I had to ask myself, for things too on these things. Because there'd be something dropping or whatever, and I needed to have it so I can stun on other people. And it's just like, hey, man, why you got to do that? And I had to, ask myself. Sometimes I got it, sometimes I didn't. But there's people who live on that mode. And those are the people that I say, hey, man, some of the people might be in your family, whatever. I ain't trying to say avoid completely, but, just, understand your personnel and handle that as you should, because they'll try to drag you down with all kinds of slanderous terms, trying to chop down your ego because you were smarter than they were in the sense of that you decided to stay in your lane. And, misery loves company, because, check their bank statements after that. But yeah, man, take it to that Sheraton, that Embassy Suites, you know what I'm saying? That, what are what did you call those? Marriott's? Come on, man. Do your thing, bro. And chill with you with something off the radar. You know what I'm saying? Off of social media. Don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Hey, you want to know what I'm looking for, ladies? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, off the radar. But yeah, man. But all that materialistic city girl stuff, it's for the birds. You know what I'm saying?
It is. Yeah, let them have it indeed, man. Think for yourself, people. That's the motto. No pun intended, Drake. And appreciate Lupe for the response, because otherwise we wouldn't have had this content for the channel today. So yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff indeed.
And by the way, that Lupe album, that first one,
Food and Liquor.
Oh man, unbelievable. Great job on that one, sir. Still
listening. I don't use, the word classic is thrown around a little too much, but it's great. It's great.
It's a great listen. I used to love that thing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lupe.
Yeah, shouts out Lupe. And that'll do it for tonight's stream, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Another Constant Approach video on the YouTube channel in the books. Thank you for watching. And again, like I always say, man, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, man. Hit that like button, leave a comment, let us know what you think about the commentary in these videos, because we certainly appreciate it. You can find me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. You can also find Constant Approach on Instagram at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. Check us out also on the Facebook page as well. Leave a comment, like the page, follow the page, all that good stuff. And be on the lookout for a Constant Approach wherever your Spotify fix is, wherever you get your Spotify fix, wherever you get your podcast fix, whether it's Spotify, Pandora, all of that good stuff, Apple Music, but the hub is right here on YouTube. So subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, let us know what you think, join the tribe, help us keep this thing moving. We love doing this each and every week. And until the next video, we'll catch you on the flip side.
And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS. and on YouTube at Dogon SS. Also, Hurricane Dogon on YouTube's. And as I say on every pod, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. All right. So shout out to all my coloreds, my Negroes, and African Americans. And I'll catch y'all on the flip side.
Yes, sir. Until next time, y'all, we are signing off. Another video in the books. We'll see you later. Peace out.
Peace. Skirt, skirt.